Welcome back, my fellow Glitchies, to another telling of scary stories. Get yourselves ready and seated as we prepare to dive into the things that scare you in the night. This first story is by Jade Nightmare Sans' wife. So, this story takes place during Halloween. I can't exactly remember what costume I was wearing, so let's just say that I was dressed as a werewolf. I was hanging out with a group of neighborhood kids that I knew. It was getting darker, and I suggested that we should probably head back to our homes. They didn't hear what I said and continued on. I scoffed and turned the other direction. I kept looking around at my surroundings, making sure that I actually recognized where I was, since this was my first time being alone on Halloween night. I heard a twig snap behind me, and I stopped. I turned slowly and gasped. There, standing behind me, was a tall man. He looked like as if he was on something and had a deranged smile on his face. He also looked like he was in his 40s. He took one step towards me, and I booked it. I didn't want to be around him, and I didn't want to know what would happen if I had decided to let him get closer to me. I could hear him running after me, calling out to me.
"Don't run away, baby girl. I just wanted to ask you something,"
that strange man had said. I knew better and didn't listen to him. I ran faster, and before I knew it, I made it to my house. My dad and grandma were outside handing candy out to the other trick-or-treaters. Dad saw me running with a scared look on my face first, and also had a worried look. He immediately gave the candy bowl to my grandma and ran towards me with open arms. He picked me up in one scoop and asked me what had happened. Since I was crying and was having trouble catching my breath due to running, I pointed in the direction where the creepy guy would probably be. He looked up and saw the strange man just a few yards away. He huffed and handed me to my grandma, who started catching on that something was wrong. He walked over to the guy, and things looked calm at first, until my dad punched him in the face and started beating him to the ground. After he was done, that strange guy had a bloody nose, a missing tooth, and a black eye. Dad told the strange man to never go near me again, or he would do something a lot worse to the guy than what he already did. The man stumbled to his feet and ran away. After that night, I never saw the man again, and Dad wouldn't let me go trick-or-treating alone unless he was accompanying me. Okay, I have to say, doing that guy's voice made me sick to my stomach, but I hope I did a good job in making that bastard creepy. Good on your dad for pounding him to pieces. Stay safe out there, kids, please. And never go trick-or-treating alone. Actually, never go alone in general. This next story is by Stella Primini. When I was around 7 years old, I had just watched a horror movie with my family, and well, I didn't like horror movies because I would always get nightmares, but one night was different. We had just watched a movie and I tried to go to sleep as best I could, but then I saw this thing as I woke up. We will just call it X. It was a tall black thing with a big smile, and on the right side of his face was something white with an X in the middle. I couldn't move. He had a weird purple ink coming from his eyes and mouth. I could never make it out, but it never moved. It just looked at me night after night until it was my 8th birthday. Okay, that was scary, but I also have to mention, what was this white thing that you saw? Because I had a hard time trying to describe it. My apologies if that offended you. This next story is by Bob I'm Bored. So, I had been having these weird dreams lately. In the dreams, there was this random guy, and he would ask me to follow him. Now, I knew I shouldn't because, well, stranger danger, but for some reason I did. Maybe he hypnotized me or something, I don't know. And he'd take me to this bridge and would tell me to look and
See how beautiful the water is?
below, and as I would look down, he would push me over the edge of the bridge, and just as I was about to hit the water, I would wake up. Now, I know what you're thinking,
So you had a couple of nightmares, so what?
but that's not the freaky part. One day, when I was walking around town with a friend, we stopped at a corner to cross the street, and while my friend was talking, I looked across the street and I saw him, the guy from my dream. I don't know why or how, but I knew it was him. He looked at me and gave me a creepy smile, and then just walked the other way. I haven't seen the guy since, and oddly enough, I haven't been having the dreams anymore since then either. But I shiver at the thought of what might have happened if I had been alone on that street corner. This story is by It's Shadow Mare. One time me and my sister were staying up late during the weekend playing Minecraft in the basement, and it was about 2 in the morning when we heard footsteps and talking coming from upstairs. We decided to turn off the game and hide in my room, which was in the basement as well. We laid there for a few minutes and they didn't go away. So after locking the door, we laid there in silence until we fell asleep. And in the morning, nothing was there. And we were both fine. But to this day, we don't know what it was. I mean, there could be a possibility that it might be your neighbors walking around at night and it echoed to your house. But still, regardless, I'd be pretty scared too if I heard random footsteps and talking. Well, that's all the stories I got, my fellow glitchies. Be sure to keep check of not just monsters in the closet, but of my community section as well, so you can post your stories. Now, onto the Patreons. Shout out to Eleanor Potter and Alex Bluin. Thank you for continuing to support me, and if you'd like a shout out, be sure to check in the description below. You can also support me in other ways just by looking there. With that said, hope this video was entertaining, and
Sleep well tonight.